Yo, what's happening? This is pretty close. Um, so first things first, the three people who won the portable power stations, they all received them. They have them. We good money on that. It was Darlene Ransom, the ETC Lifestyle, and Farmer Marshall. So I'm glad it worked out. Didn't have any shipping issues. Shipping was actually very decent price wise. I don't think any of it cost more than like $20 or something. I was like, I could absorb that. I see going outside, alcohol, shots of Javi. I don't know why I say your whole name, man. It's such a cool name. What's up, Chloe K, Tina Reed, Joe Tyson? What's happening? Gigi's Natural Homestead. Hey, what's happening? HSG, I hope that you can answer my question today as I need your help in buying my very first solar power generator I am buying in a few days. I hope so too. And that's kind of why I wanted to do this live. I find myself feeling like I am procrastinating with videos because I'm a recovering perfectionist. So I don't want to steer people wrong. So it's not just my thoughts on devices and what I would get and not get, but it's like trying to kind of find a happy medium between my thoughts and what would be appealing to someone. So I'm kind of dragging my feet on that. What are you gonna do? Delgado, what's happening? The Blood Gaze, good to see you, man. Calvin, what's good? Augusta, that's what's up. Hey, Siobhan. Um, I boosted up my saturation a bit in the camera. I think it looks different. I think. I don't know. I don't know. I want to get a new camera. This one is pretty old. I have a T3i from Canon. I think they're on the T7i now, but it still looks good. Still looks good. Um, Before we get into anything more, my For Patriots video is probably getting quite a bit of views. I've seen some new comments on that, and people are asking, like, at $2,000, is it worth it now? And I kind of wonder if they were able to kind of take in the information from the video, if they kind of watched some of the video and then went to right to asking the question. Because I think I've laid out pretty well in that video that at 2,500 it's not a good deal. At 2,000 it's not a good deal. At 1,500 it's not a good deal. At 1,000 you it's all right, but the watt hours are still off for $1,000. I feel like I could probably stomach about like 800. Wait, I'm not taking into account that they come with panels. So maybe at about $1,000 because you get the folding panels. Those are typically expensive. You get a folding 100-watt panel, so that'll add $200 to your cost. So maybe at about $1,000, that For Patriot is okay. But then I think about the battery chemistry. The battery chemistry is. I wish Byron Morris was around because he knows about that. Hey, 2%. I think the battery chemistry is kind of old too. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm gonna put a time marker here for this For Patriots. Do not buy the For Patriots at $2,000. I just feel like, and what I finally kind of sat down and tried to make sense of EcoFlow's Delta lineup. And I had to go to Amazon to kind of make sense of it because on their site it doesn't make sense to me, at least at a quick glance. But the EcoFlow Delta Mini is actually a really good device for the price compared to the Patriots, the For Patriots. I mean, it doesn't come with a panel, but it's about 800 some odd watt hours of power. It can take in 300 watts of solar, and it has like a 13 or 1400 watt inverter. Now, the For Patriots has an 800 watt inverter, so you would probably want to jump up to like maybe the Delta or what's the other one, the Delta Max. But then that's a little more coin, but you get more capacity. So I wouldn't go with For Patriots under any no, just no. Hey, Miss Queen, I don't even need to see your name. I just need to see them eyeballs. Let me kind of see what's going on in the chat. Hey, Janice, what's going on, Lee? I'll say hi to the family. I appreciate that. That one, thank you very much. I boosted up the saturation just a little bit. I think it looks a little better. I think so. It does have the bars on the side because it's taking from. Y'all don't care about that technical stuff. Chloe K says the new line of Blue Eddies is batteries you posted about last week looks interesting. Yeah, it does. With that, I guess sodium nitrate. I don't know much about it. What's up, Silver Surfer? What's happening? Good to see you. Thanks for coming to hang out. Happy wife. What's happening? Good to see you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. Same to you and your family. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you the family's doing well. Extended and direct, immediate, as they say. Dun, 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 dun. Happy Kwanzaa too. Hey, Kwanzaa's what's up, man. You ever like look at Kwanzaa? Kwanzaa's popping. Like, if Kwanzaa ever took off, like for real, in the Black community, and maybe even in extended communities, we'd be in a man. Kwanzaa's legit. Happy Kwanzaa. Got a Duracell. Love it. A Duracell? Like, I don't know about that one, Lee. Don't the Duracell have like the heavy batteries in it, the sealed lead acid dips in them? It doesn't have lithium ion, nickel, manganese, cobalt, or whatever they do. Corey K says, I'm interested in learning more about the new Blue Eddy line of batteries because they are advertised as being operational at lower temperatures. Yeah, that it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be very interesting. Cycling Tours Antigua. The name sounds familiar. I'm doing good though. I think I visited your channel. You had like a couple videos of cycling, with some friends or family or something like that. Today is my birthday, but I'm cleaning. Happy birthday. Your birthday's right after your anniversary. Did you get a GU Ninja nunchuck for your birthday? If you didn't get it for your anniversary? I know you wanted a new toy. What up, Beats? Bye. Beats like this, Rick. Boom. That's the first time I read that out loud. Did I say happy birthday, Miss Queen? Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. I think we're around the same age. Oh, I had a kind of a fun question. Let's deviate for a second. I want to know, what's your favorite song right now? Anybody who feels the need to answer. I'm not a music head or anything like that. I just like really dope songs. I'm very picky even in my music choices. What's your favorite song right now? Let me know down in the comments. Not yet. Oh man, I was watching a video for the 10 best budget GUNs because I'm all about keeping my coins. But yeah, I was curious about that. I have to research stuff before I commit to a purchase. My wife committed to a purchase recently, and it's a full-size dip, so either of us could use it. But yeah. Anyway, what time is it? About 8 minutes in. I had that little bit of for Patriots. So let's I want to do a video about the best budget power station, the best beginner power station, and I guess the best like banger. Like if you really want to have something that's kind of out there. And I wanted to see what you guys' thoughts were. So let me know in the comments. Put like budget, banger, beginner. Beginner in my mind, I feel like is around the 500 to 700 watt hour. Like you kind of get something decent. Budget is I don't think anyone has dethroned the GoLabs R300 yet. The Energizer kind of competes, but only at the $240 price point. That 300 and some kind of takes it out of the running for me. But that GoLabs R300, even with its quirks, I think is the best budget power station you can buy right now. What do y'all think? Miss Queen says, I enjoy jazz. Me, LeBron James. Oh, okay. Um, God Only Knows by King and Country with Dolly. Oh, interesting. Dolly Parton. Okay, nice. Music is tough today. Jasmine Sullivan's whole new album comes to mind. I like more neo soul. Hey, the Babine 500. Okay, the Babine is a good one. I'm starting to. I feel like I'm watching this Oops closely. The Cheryl Swoops. I'm watching it very closely. I'm not. I don't know. Let me see if my is my focus as good as my focus can be. I don't know. The Babine is cool. It's kind of basic, but even though it's basic, it can still be a workhorse. Man, if y'all watch the video on the Big Blue, if the Big Blue had pass through charging, it'd be my favorite kind of mid tier power station, hands down. Um, the EcoFlow Max, it beats that out. In my opinion, the EcoFlow River Max is still a great device, but it beats it out because it has LiFePO in it. Now, the EcoFlow River Max also has 200 watts of solar charging, so it depends on your priorities. There's no correct answer in this regard, but I really like the Big Blue. We'll see if it holds up. Somebody commented and said the Big Blue was giving them some issues, and they were like, keep your eye on it. And I use it every day. I mean, as long as I have power coming into it, I use it. But because that one doesn't have pass-through charging, it kind of pulls it out of the beginner one. So the Babine is a good value. Saya, I need you to go play in the foyer with the car, man. Okay? I wasn't asking you. That wasn't a question. Let me zoom this in a little bit so I can see a little easier. It is not my birthday. It is Mrs. Queen's birthday. I would never tell y'all when my birthday is. I'm so not into birthdays. I don't ever want on Facebook. I turned that stuff off. It's like I don't want your happy birthday wishes. Like, man, charge. Keep that to yourself. I'm torn. HSG says, looking at the EB70S with the 800 watt output. I wanted the EcoFlow River Pro, but I can't deal with the lithium batteries with only 500 charges. But I really want LiFePO 4. I have $600. I looked at the Babine 500 for under 400, but it's just not enough power output. What do you mean power output? Like the AC inverter? It's what, like 500? You need to be a little higher than that? Yeah, I guess you're comparing it to the 70S with the 800 watt inverter. $600. I'm gonna have to think on that. So I'm really leaning towards the EB70S, but I hate the non-stop running power cord. Why do you hate that? Is that what you're gonna do with it? Are you going to solar matter in this equation? What's your not your living situation per se, but are you tight on space to the point where it would need to be close by? Because I mean, you only need to charge it for a few hours. But you know, if it bothers you, it bothers you. But far be it from me to say it shouldn't. The EB55 seems to be a nice device given the specs. Yeah, I struggle with that EB55 because the price point is so close to the EB70, and I could get 200 extra watt hours for like $50. Especially if you consider how much the EB70 debuted at, which is $499, and then the EB55 is like $450. I can't. My brain will never be okay with that. We're spending that amount of money for 200 less watt hours. The EB55 has promise. I kind of look forward to the next version because I think they did some things right, but they also didn't go far enough to say that that's a whole different device. It kind of boggles my mind that they went about it that way. I don't know why I'm playing with these batteries. I tried these pale blue batteries. I spent, I think I spent way too much money on them. Not really. I take that back. They're lithium polymer batteries. So my understanding is that, according to people on YouTube, is that they're kind of like lipo batteries, but they don't ever drop. They just die. The discharge. Don't quote me on any of that because I don't know nothing about these batteries, and the videos were kind of like sparse. But my understanding is that they go pretty much the full discharge thing, and then they just die, which is good for like flashlights and stuff. Instead of getting dim, they just won't work anymore. Okay. Does anybody have an idea for a better budget offering? I mean, a Sateki is compelling. It's very compelling, but because it doesn't have anything useful on the screen, I'm kind of like, I don't know if that's the best budget. But if you just want something, you could spend like maybe, I've seen it as cheap as like what, like 150? I think it's even been cheaper than that. And it's like 240 watt hours. And it also supports dual charging, which the GoLabs does not. I think the GoLabs is the best budget purchase. I don't think I could get past that. Then I have to deal with this like the best mid grade. That's probably going to end up being a bit of a tie because it's still, I feel like, still the king of the hill at the $500 mark. In the and then you got to deal with this idea of like the name brand and then the off brand. I think it's still between the EcoFlow River Max. You got to think about the EcoFlow River Pro for 430 from Costco. That's always a wild card. Um, so I don't know if I would go EB55. It's just too close to the price of the EB70. And the EB70 has the same, pretty much the same specs, but with more watt hours. I can't go EB55. Thank you, Lee. YouTube blocked you look fine. YouTube is out of control with this blocking stuff. YouTube's like a helicopter mom, man. It just I be wanting to read some of these wild comments. People be saying some wild stuff. Wild according to me. Not like profane or racist or anything like that. I haven't gotten a racist comment yet. And I know it's coming. Um, but they block it, and they don't even block it so you could go look at it. They just throw it into the abyss. They're like, get it out of here. Don't bully my son. They're very protective, the YouTubes. What's up, Eddie T? The EcoFlow is going crazy with two different Deltas plus the Mini. What do you mean going crazy in a good way or what? Let's see. Cycling Tour says he has the Bouge V and would love another. Yeah, that's the EB70 pretty much. Not pretty much. It's the EB70. The fan running, yes, but it's not a deal breaker. I agree with it. Only running for a few hours to charge. I do plan on going solar next month, so it isn't a deal breaker. Any better options? Not in the LifePro range. No. I don't think you could do better than the EB70 for LiPo. I don't think there's a better option out there for LiPo. Now, so the EB55 is interesting though because it can support that dual input, but I think don't get me to making up stuff. Let me think about that for a second. I think you can do solar. The solar is XT60, and then I think the power adapter is 8mm. So you can own it's a weird device, man. I don't know. Don't get me to making stuff up. I wish Jason Noy was a Happy Wife says, I'm a racist. I love the human race. Okay, that's interesting. YouTube is not as bad as Facebook. Facebook lets the racist stuff through, then jails you for pushing back, calling it bullying. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. I was in Facebook jail for what did I say? I think I said women are weirdos. And it was within the context of the post, but they were like, yeah, you foul, fam. Stop it. And then I had another one. I hate to say this, but uh, they were talking about something, and I quoted Bill Burr. He has a joke about deer, and he's like, you catch one of those deer, you shoot him in the face. And I said that, but it has no nuance in text. But it was between like me and my wife. It was an inside joke, and they flagged me for that. So then when I said the women are weirdos, they were like, nah, fam, you gotta take a break. 48 hours, you out of here. Uh, 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 uh. How many solar generators do you have? I got rid of 3. I had 17. I got rid of 3, so I have 14. I need you to stop being so loud, man. Babe, what you in there doing? Nothing. I mean, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? I think I have, yeah, I have like 14 or 15, which is crazy. That's still crazy. But I was telling my wife, when I start to give those power stations an assignment, I start to feel like I don't have enough. It gets real when I start to like put one on my internet, one on my network terminal, 1 or 2 behind my TV, not 2, 1 behind my TV. What else do I do with them? I'm starting to run like lamps from them. So I have one like running a lamp, and then I'll have like some charging if it's a sunny day. So I start to feel a little skimpy, but that's just, excuse me, that's just me being used to just having them laying around. So it's still a lot. It's still a lot. I have one coming next week. Uh, so I have to decide. Once I get settled in, I have to decide which one I'm going to give away next. And I still need to do a video on the tech Oz, but it's an interesting one. That one will probably go next, or the smart list will go next. I thought about giving away the GoLabs too, but we'll see. I'd like to get that bigger GoLabs before I give away the smaller GoLabs, but it could probably go to who knows. What's up, Matt Call? I love the laughter of the children. I bet Indiana Jackson. I got a refurbished battery for my EcoFlow on EcoFlow Pro. Oh, okay. You got an actual official EcoFlow battery? Do you know of any generators that have a 3-prong outlet so I can plug in my laptop, like a grounded one, or just a 3-prong dip? Because most of them have at least one 3-prong offering. So most times they'll share them. They'll have the 2 slots, and then they'll have like a hole in the middle, and then they'll both be kind of like flipped. So you could put one plug in and it'll share the hole, and then it blocks up the hole for the other one. Dun, dun, dun. I know, right? 17. That's crazy. EcoFlow River Pro at 430 is the best thing for your buck mid range, but only on that deal. Yeah, I would go EB55 otherwise at 449 price point, only due to the charging input. The EB70 is a good alternative. The EB70 is better, blood gaze. How is the EB55 an actual option? Now, that's only within the realm of comparing the EB55 to the EB70. You compare the EB55 to almost anything else in, I'd say it's crushing the competition still. That's why I always say Bluetti, they're competing with themselves. They're not, they don't they don't really have many peers. I mean EcoFlow, but EcoFlow just started putting LiPo in the devices. So you know. Oh, Eddie T is saying EcoFlow is going crazy in a not good way. They are creating new models to fill in the complaints instead of coming out with a newer unit that fixes everything. Interesting. So they're kind of like half stepping. Is that what you mean, Eddie T? I have a Bouger V 200-watt panel and it gives me 160 watts output. We have a lot of power out, so charging at speed is the most important thing to me. And having multiple units might get the EB70. I feel like because you have the Bouger V, you should get the EcoFlow River Pro for $430 from Costco, without a doubt. I don't think you should get two of the same devices, especially because the EB70 and the Bouger V have the 8 amp input limit. The EcoFlow does not have that limit. I think this goes up to 10 or 12 amps. I'm pretty sure it's like 10. I'm pretty sure. What's up, Ryan? My thoughts on the EcoFlow Delta, the first one. Um, I feel like I wasn't really impressed with it. It's okay. I don't, because I'm not a solar dude. I'm not a solar. I'm not an outlet guy plugging stuff in from the wall. I only do that if I have to. I don't care about the fast charging. And if you take away the fast charging, then the EcoFlow line is it's good, but it's not. It doesn't stand out. They do typically have like higher inverters in their devices, not higher than anything price wise, but um, they'll have like 1800-watt inverter in them, and they're really smart, technologically savvy devices. So I really like them, but because I don't need that quick charge necessarily, um, I'm not moved by them. I'd rather LiFePo and normal charging as long as it can compete solar input wise. I could have gotten. I was thinking about. I almost got jealous of the EcoFlow Mini when it came out because I had just purchased the EB120. If you don't know, the EB120 is a smaller version. It's not a smaller version. I guess it is a little smaller. I don't know. It's a smaller watt hour capacity of the EB150. The EB150, as far as I could tell, anybody who has one kind of loves it. It has its limitations, but it was the first to really kind of go big and go cheap. So I think when that thing came out, the Kickstarter or whatever it was like only 1,200. It was like 11.99 or something like that. It was crazy how cheap that thing was, and the retail was like 1,800 or something like that. Um, but I went with that one because it can take more solar. The EcoFlow Mini can only take 300 watts of solar, and I'm not really a big fan of that. You know what I mean? I want to be. I'm a solar guy first and foremost. I want power from the sun. Everything else is secondary. Longevity is right up there with power from the sun, so I like LiFePo. Once I satisfy my longevity and my solar input being high, then I'm like, I can start to kind of delve into other things, which is why I have the EB70 and the EcoFlow River. That's how I started out. I started out with the EcoFlow River because of its capabilities. Its capabilities were really impressive for that price point of like 279 or whatever I paid for it. Um, that 600-watt inverter for less than $300, like you couldn't beat that. And then the EB70 came along and it had the LiFePo and the 200 watts of solar input. So they're pretty much like yin and yang in my mind. Steve Sheridan says, I love my EB150. Most people do, man. Those things, they work. They're like workhorses. Are there any batteries that will power 220 plugs for things like clothes dryers? Not by themselves. My understanding, I mean, maybe like the Titan or something like that. But my understanding is that most of the devices, or maybe the Bluetti, no, the EcoFlow Delta Pro, and I think the Bluetti has one as well. Maybe the AC200 Max or the AC300. You have to have two of them, and then they'll go into like some type of like combiner box, and then you can get like 240 from that. But you can't, or 220 or whatever it is. You can't get that from a singular device. At least none of the devices that I've been paying attention to. That Titan, I don't pay close attention to that. So you could barely get it, and it's going up in price, which is understandable because of what's going on in the world. But yeah. Eddie T says bigger inverter in one, more capacity in another. Yeah, I feel you. That kind of like parsing. And it's kind of weird. They it seems like they have four models, but they really have two of the Deltas. They have the new Delta and then the old Delta. And then they have the Max, the Pro, and the Mini. We can only order from Amazon online for delivery to Antigua. What's going on, G-Rads? Powered by the sun. Hey. SON. Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Get the AC 200p. I'm Love says. I don't like the 35 volt limit of the AC 200p. I tried putting panels in series over this winter into my EB 120, and when you put panels in series, if any shade gets on one, it kind of knocks out the other panel. And I have too much shade going on. So for me to have the AC 200p, I would either have to go with a single panel that is 24 volt, or I'd have to deal with having two panels, put them in series, and then run into the issue of when one gets shade on it, then the other one's toast. So I have the ability to put my panels in series. I have more than enough 12 volt panels, but my HQST 190s, I took them out of series and I just put one panel on the EB 120 because I can bang out for a few hours with my son, but then I would have to either lose power or go out there and move two panels, two 200-watt panels. And I'm not a fan of that. What's going on, Day One Fishing? Says my EB120 doing what I need, and that's the point, right? Hey, smash the like button. Let's talk about the like button real quick. If you guys like the video and you're enjoying the video, hit the like button. You don't have to hit the like button out of some arbitrary guilt because YouTube kind of favors people who have a lot of likes. I'm really not into that, but I appreciate that y'all remind people. My PV200 does well on shiny days. The PV200 is the one that's wired in parallel, right? Isn't that? I think it's the SP that's wired in series. That PV200 is really interesting for that in that regard because if you put shade on one half, the other half is still going strong. I haven't used my power stations much. Hopefully, come spring, I will. I've been being raised by chickens. What? Why haven't you used them? I guess some location things. So is series. Oh, SP is series. Yeah, that makes sense. 3 times 300 watts for the 200 max. Did I miss a connection, Steve? I don't think I missed anything. I just smashed the like button because I really love your channel and watch almost every video. You really appreciate it, man. I appreciate your appreciation. Thank you, HSG. Are you ever going to put the panels on a stand? No, I'm not. No. In my backyard, I have these trees that I want to get rid of. They provide privacy so that you can't just look straight through my yard from the side, like my neighbors on either side. My other neighbor kind of built up some stuff, and that gives me privacy that way. And then I have these trees on the other side that gives me privacy this way. But in the winter months, those trees where they're a perfect spot for solar panels. I could even figure out some way to hang them up on my fence, maybe. Well, it's not my fence. I think it's the neighbor's fence. Maybe it's my fence. I don't know. So I kind of want to get rid of those trees, but I like the fact that you can't just kind of see in the yard. I am still covered because the further you go down, there's like a building on the corner. So even from the street, you can't just look through all the yards. So I'm covered, but yeah, I'm gonna leave that there. When shade gets on my SP, I usually get about 300 watts. When shade gets on my SP200s, I usually get about 300 watts out of the 800 watt potential. I wish I followed that, Steve. No, it's I Am Love. I'm love. Give me the rundown. Like, what device are you using? How many panels are connected? And they're in series. I want to understand that. What happens with panels in a hailstorm? Black Plumber says, I don't know. Sometimes they're rated to a certain capacity to deal with hail, but you know, I want to say Mother Nature, but that's a weird concept I don't want to get into. The weather, if it wilds out, they're not gonna stand a chance. You got to deal with some big hail, you'll have some problems. That glass can break, as we know with my freaking Renogy panel that fell. Okay, I'm Love has the AC200P with 4 SP200 panels, and you have them all wired in series. And then when something hits the 800-watt array, you get about 300. When shade goes on my 400-watt array, well, I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know what my sun conditions are compared to yours. But let's say it was producing like 300, 270, ish. If I got a little bit of shade on one, I think it dropped to like 30. So you're going from that's 10% of the power that was coming in. You go from 800 to 300, that's like 50%. Are you sure they're all in series? That sounds like you're in a series parallel where one's still producing about 400 watts on paper and one's just completely knocked out. But if they're all in series, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know enough about it to be able to speak to why that you're getting so much power if one of your panels is shaded. Bloodgate says I run 2 strings, 100 watts in parallel into the EB70. Wow, that's overkill. Like a mug. Jeez. And 4 200-watt panels in series into the AC200P. Bloodgates, I believe you've emailed me before, like your setup in your organization. I think I've seen your setup a bit. I'm Love. I wish I had the PB200s, but it's too late. Yeah, you just bought the SP200s. I remember that. The PB200s fix that to a degree, way better shade tolerant due to each sub panel being wired up in parallel. Yeah, 17 people have to. Oh, don't do that. Don't do that. People, I personally am not a person who is into the whole like thing. I hear people say that all the time. Like, yeah, I have this many people in here and only this many people like the video. Maybe other people don't like the video. Maybe they're just here enjoying it. Liking a video that's anyway. So like the video if you like it. It's okay if you don't. If you're just enjoying yourself and you don't want to do another thing, if I could just be completely honest, like videos go into a playlist. If like videos didn't go into a playlist, I would like a lot of videos. I would kind of see it as just liking something on Facebook. But if every post I liked on Facebook went into like a saved thing of posts that I like, then I wouldn't like as much on Facebook either. So like video serves a very specific purpose on YouTube. And to just be throwing around likes all willy-nilly, but I'm weird. Or maybe I'm onto something. I don't know. Either way. HSG says, also wanted to ask you one more thing about the EB70S. Do you get used to the simple battery indicator on the screen? Is it good enough to use well, like over the really nice River Pro awesome screen? That's a good question. If it's your only device, it kind of sucks. It's not the worst thing. I'm used to having the 20% intervals. And then you're talking about this idea of plugging it into the wall and just kind of having it be there. I don't know, man. That's tough. That's tough. I can't. Excuse me. I've never only had one device. I should say never, because when I bought my first one, which was a Bowden's, that was the only device I had. But shortly thereafter, I got the Rock Pals, and they both had the 20%. But I wasn't as reliant on like knowing how much power is coming into this device and knowing how much power I have left. That wasn't important to me. Also, those devices have their limitations. So even with a 100-watt panel, the Bowdens could only take in 45 watts anyway. So I started out with a 50-watt panel, but after I got like that taste of solar, I quickly upgraded to a 100-watt panel. So I knew if that 100-watt panel was angled in any way, I'm at least getting in 45 watts from the Bowdens. So it didn't matter to me that the dial was only the 20% per the 20% segments. So I don't know. I don't think it's that big a deal, but it's cool to have that EcoFlow screen. It's the EcoFlow kind of just sits behind my TV. It's nice to know what percentage it's at. It's nice to know how long it'll take to charge, but that's almost not as relevant with solar because solar is so fickle, especially in the winter months. So I don't know. I do not have a Blue Eddy panel day one fishing. I have the X-Star panel, which is kind of like the Jackery panel. And I have a 50-watt sun power. That one's 100 watts from X-Star. After 50-watt, yeah, I have a Blue Eddy panel. Miss Queen says, well, I like for people to like my videos. Why? Why do you like people to like your videos? Tell me. Byron, what's happening? Byron, can you tell me? Just the man I want to see. Can you tell me what battery chemistry is in the 4 Patriots power stations? I like a video when I find it valuable or engaging. Boom, I dig it. Winston, what's happening, man? Just got here. Have you run external LiFePo batteries on any of your Sogens? Sogens. I don't like that they're called Sogens. I don't dislike it either, but I never call them Sogens. Yeah, it is. Joe Tyson. Joe Tyson says the XR panel is nice. I would recommend getting the AC200 Max. Says I am love. It works well, especially with the PV200s. Yeah, the AC200 Max is nice. I came this close for those who've been following the channel for a while. I came this close to buying the AC200 Max, but I bailed out. Me and the missus were not on the same page, and I took that as a sign from the good Lord that I shouldn't have spent all that coin on it. I couldn't afford it anyway, but I was going to charge it just to have some peace of mind that thing I could throw anything for the most part at it and it would work. To answer Winston's question, I don't have any standalone batteries. I don't think I would ever get into that because by the time you buy the battery and you buy something to charge the battery, and I'm not going, because I have so many power stations, even if I didn't have so many power stations, but let's just say I had 4, you know what I mean? Like 4 really nice ones. Let's say my EB7, my EcoFlow, my EB120, and then the Bull Bat, which is downstairs in the garage, which I'm pulling into it's not in the, yeah, it is in the garage. I'm pulling it into the basement. I bought a 50-foot cable. I'll talk about that in a second. I don't know that I would want to take a panel, right? Because you got to be able to charge the batteries. Take a panel, get an MPPT controller, hook it up to the battery to charge the battery. So I just got a loose, open LiFePo battery wherever it is, outside, in the house with wires through the window, whatever. Or you got to get an AC charger to charge that battery up. It's like, I'm not there yet. I toy around with the idea, but once you spend that money, you kind of almost feel like, well, I could have this in a nice, pretty manufactured in China case called a power station. It's like, and then you got to, are you going to invert it? Are you only going to feed that power from that battery into a power station? And then if you're going 12 volt from that power station, you're only going to get about 100 some odd watts anyway. And then you have to also be super intentional about making sure that you don't over discharge that battery because there's no BMS in between the battery and the power station. So it just becomes a whole thing. And I don't know if I'm there yet. I would stay on top of something like that. I wouldn't just leave it blindly, but I don't know that I figured out a way that makes it feasible to jump into that water. because I thought about just going like, okay, bolt onto the battery to a 12-volt socket and then using the whatever device's 12-volt adapter to plug to power dump from that LiPo battery into the power station. I've thought about that many times. I think about it all the time. And that's a great idea. But then you go back to my point of you got to charge that battery up again. And then how are you going to charge it? And then you start to spend money on that stuff. You might as well just get a power station. In my mind, I could be wrong. I haven't revisited the math in a while, but that's how I feel about it. Black Plumber says the EcoFlow does have a nice screen. Yeah, they do. What's up, KLP? Sitting here on the sideline looking and gathering information. Nice. Corey K says I got a real good price on the HQST vinyl panel. 135 for two, 140, 70. Yeah, that's good. That's good. They go for about 80, 86. The cheapest I've seen them, I think, is $76.99. So yeah, what's up? HSG says it will be my only device at the moment, my first one ever, but I will not keep it plugged in after being charged. I'm buying this as an emergency power for power outages. I'm buying solar next month. So I was talking to somebody about that today. I don't think it was you, but they were talking about having something and putting it in the closet and just kind of keeping it around for power outages. If you're going to do that, then LiPo shouldn't matter to you. You get 500 cycles on that. If you're cycling that thing once a week, and you're not going to be cycling it once a week if you just put it in your closet for power outages. But let's just deal with the once a week. That's 52 cycles, and it's 500 cycles. That's like what, 6 years? More than 6 years? You know what I mean? 52 in the 500 is like double that. That's like, it's a long time. It's like almost 9 years. If you cycle that thing daily, which most people will not do, but let's say you cycle it about 250 days out of the year or something like that. I mean, if you get an EcoFlow, you might cycle that dip daily. Kind of depends. That's still a good year and a half. And nobody's going to cycle their power stations daily, especially if you're going off of solar. Like in the States, very few people have sun every day. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but you get the point. 500 cycles, it's okay. I'm value oriented, so I want as many cycles as possible, but I also hammer my power stations. I use my power stations every day that I can. If the sun is out, I'm getting power into these power stations, which is part of the reason why I wanted to give something away, because it became this kind of musical chairs of keeping them charged and trying to make sure that I'm not, and it gets interesting. I want to do a tips and tricks video for solar. I have to wrap my mind around that because I think that's going to be super useful to people, but I also have to kind of figure out what those tips and tricks are. Some things that may come native or come easily to me. Maybe other people don't think like that. So I'm sorry about that if I was blowing into the mic. That was real wild. For example, I do this thing where my EB120, because it doesn't move much, it's actually right here now. I pulled it up because the last few days have been really overcast. So that 200 watts is not really getting close to the 200 watts. I could put any power station on it and it could take in that power. So I brought the EB120 up because it's typically my most full power station, even though it doesn't get full often, because I'm always taking power from my basement, my downstairs, my ground. My basement and my garage devices. I'm always taking power and pulling it out of them and just leaving them there. So I decided that I wouldn't do that in this instance. I would just bring another device downstairs and let it get that like 10, 15. If it starts to get really bright and cloudy, I'll get like 40, 50 watts. So ultimately, the tip was, as long as your power stations are not getting full, and this is in my situation because I have multiple, then it really doesn't matter if I'm dumping power into the other ones. I can just let the power accumulate. But when your power stations start to get full, then you may start wanting to dump it off into other ones, because then you're losing out on power. And I hate losing out on power. So that's something that comes natural to me, but maybe people don't think like that. I feel like some people have power stations sitting around and they never use them. I feel like you should, but who am I to say that? Eddie T says, oh, comments just went away. Shoot. What happened? I lost it. My bad. YouTube already knows what we watch and what we watch until the end. Having the list is convenient for me. Yeah, but you're mindful of the fact that when you like a video, it goes into a list. I'm assuming that. I read that. I'm not really into expensive bundle branded panels. Interesting. I dig it. Let's see. Winston Smith says 100 amp hours times 12.8 equals 1280 watts. Goodies for you. Like you said, it's a power dump. It's a power dump which way? Because, yeah, I'm all for it. It's like 1200 watts. Like, my TV uses 35 watts. My internet uses like 10, 20 if you combine the network terminal and the router. So that's less than 100 watts is the point that I'm getting at. So if that LiFePO battery is dumping into my EcoFlow river on a constant basis, it's going to be charged up for as long as that LiFePO battery lasts. But then the inconvenience is charging up the LiFePO battery. You know what I mean? It's like, how you gonna do that? I don't want to be lugging around the LiFePO battery to hook it up to a controller or an AC lithium battery charger. If I'm not being clear about that, there are these things that plug into the wall that will charge lithium batteries. You connect it to it via alligator clamps or bolt-on whatevers, and they're made specifically to charge that battery. And there's some other things that I've seen. This guy, he has a solar channel. Shoot. It was really interesting. There's like these other battery chargers that charge at about 100 and some odd watts that he uses. Oh man, now I gotta look for it. Dang it. I don't want to look for it. I always forget his channel. He has a couple like really good videos that kind of get my brain going. I don't think I'm going to be able to. Let's see, 12-volt battery pack. Not Jehu. It's this channel. I found it perfectly. Freely roaming. Don't need that audio, sir. Shut up, please. Let's see. Let me search against his channel. I think it's a battery charger. And the whole premise of his video was when he's traveling overseas, if he just takes like an old laptop battery, a laptop charger, and you take that piece, that 12 volt, that AC wire, and then you could pull that AC wire out and plug anything else into it, because most of them are 12 or 24 volts. I'll let him explain it. I'm gonna post a video in the chat in a second. But it's an interesting video. It was extremely interesting. If you comment over on that video and you go watch, tell them Ask God Solar sent you. I picked that up from Led. Okay, Winston Smith is saying both. So you were saying you would get an AC wall charger and you would hook it up to solar. I'm not doing that. Winston says, speaking of HQST, look at the website today. Big sale starting tomorrow. Interesting. We'll see. I'm going to check it out. HQST kind of gave me the runaround. I had some issues with my panels coming. One of my panels took a while to get here. It took a while. They went out of stock and I had already made the order. And they told me that they were like, if you order any more panels, then we'll give you a percentage off of that panel. And I'm like, cool, I appreciate that. Thank you. But then I said to them, well, because you're willing to give me a percentage off of a panel, maybe you guys can just send me a MC4 extension cable. So let's say I bought a 190 watt panel and they were going to give me like 10% off of that panel. That's 170, that's $17. Just give me a dub or 15 towards a cable, and I could get a cable for free. And they was like, yeah, we'll give you 10% off or 20% off the cable. Like, okay, I see what y'all doing. They was off the chain for that. Kathy says, I remember the panel debacle. Yeah, it was interesting, man. It was interesting. Day One Fishing says his TV uses 200 watts. What? How big is your TV, man? How big and how old is your TV? What brand? Jeez, 200 watts. I thought 100 watts was a lot. That's a lot, man. Jeez. What is this? I'm seeing a user. The name is just G. That's interesting. I see 116, which is like it reminds me of like Lecrae. I call them Lacquer. Lecrae and his whole squad. I think it's like Romans 116 or something like that. I think it's like I'm not ashamed of the gospel or something. I don't know. I don't know what that verse is. That's throwing me off. Okay, Queen V, what's happening? Wait. Okay, let me make sense of it. Byron Morris says LiPo 12 volt 800 amp hour battery. That is why it has a 4-hour charge time. Oh, okay, I don't know who you're talking to. With batteries, you can get a better capacity for your buck, and most have a built-in BMS, but you have to deal with the charge controller and inverter. Better battery, a better bang for your buck on the standalone batteries. So $400 is what I've kind of seen these batteries come in at for like all of these new ones Will is reviewing. And they're typically like 1200 watts of battery capacity. And then you buy an inverter. You want to get a pure sine wave inverter. I haven't priced those out, but let's just say that's like $200. And then you need a charge controller. You could get a relatively cheap charge controller. So yeah. But then would you put it in something? I can't do that because I have small kids, and the only place that would kind of work is in my basement. But even still, my basement can get wet. My garage is kind of perpetually wet because the seal at the bottom is not great, and water runs into the house. Not a lot, but it's enough. I don't know. I have to entertain that again. Linda, what's happening? Ianoni. I got it. It registered. Byron says the Patriot solar generator. You asked what type of battery. Okay, is it LiPo in the Patriot? That makes it a little bit better, but still too much freaking money. Cloudy days are tough. Looked at the PV200, but the price is a bit steep. Better off shopping for panels on Amazon. Hey, I got it right. I got it. I've always been relatively good with names. You just have to put forth a little effort. Jeez, people just don't want to put forth the effort. I got to scroll up to read your comments, G and Queen. Interesting. Queen V says, I will have, I bill, so have a go on. Interesting. I can't follow that, Queen. Good holiday sales on the EcoFlow into the end of the year. Did you see the new one that they're coming out with that allegedly powers your entire house depending on how many you buy? EcoFlow? I haven't seen anything from EcoFlow lately. G says, I have a Blue Day AC 200P and an EB70. There are 5 180-watt Bourgeois V panels attached to the roof. I have the ACP plugged into a transfer switch for the full-size fridge, the internet, and the heat. Help me out with this transfer switch stuff. Can the transfer switch, does it work when you have power? Like, can you, I'm not sure I understand. I know that it can switch it over to like, switch the load over, but can it switch the load over while you also have grid power, or is it when your power goes out, you have to switch it over? It's an interesting thing. I use it every day and it's amazing. So I go off of that, and you must be able to use it when you have power. If you're using it every day, I'm sure your power's not out. 35. Okay, I read that. The China AliExpress power bricks. I don't know. I put the link in there to the guy's channel, the guy's video. I guess what I'll do is I'll give it some context here. Let's do this. Can I return? I don't think it lets you return in these comments. The title of the video is Van Life Shore Power Hack using a laptop charger, and it works worldwide. Byron says you have to switch it over and cut the power off into you switch it off the grid power. Interesting. If you get the money, 2,000 inverters work well for winter, rainy days, blah, 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 blah. $400. Interesting. So you're looking at 448. The charger, who knows how much that's going to cost. It's like, yeah, you get 1,200 watts, but you right up there at like thousand. You're up there at $1,000 range. I got the EB120 for, it cost $799. I got it for a little less than that, and it's 1,200 watts, 1,000-watt inverter, and takes in 500 watts of solar. Has USB-C 45, 4 USB-A ports. You know what I mean? It's like, why put all? Then you got to worry about like wire gauge, fuses. I'm not there. I like the idea of that all-in-one and that server rack battery that Will was talking about, because that server rack battery has a shunt in it, and or it has what you need in it to not have to worry about fuses and all that jazz. G says I can flip the transfer switch back and forth from grid to AC 200p at will. Nothing even shuts off. Yeah, but does that mean nothing else is power except for your core loads? Night Ravine. I was inspired by you to daisy chain my sealed lead acid batteries, $10 controller to my GoLabs. Hardly ever use my standalone inverter now. Interesting. Please send me like pictures of that or something. That's kind of like what that stuff is like interesting to me. I just don't know that I want to spend the money on a battery to do it, because then I have to try and charge the battery. But if you already have batteries and you already have a way to charge them, then you're pretty much good to go. I'm not going to buy batteries, only to have to buy the charger, to buy the inverter. I mean, I know your situation doesn't involve an inverter, but when I could just buy a power station, I'm not there. G says it was so cool that you just talked about 116 around the 116 click. It's cool that you know how to spell the word click. I'm gonna leave that there. That's a whole nother thing. Yeah, we rock heavy, but I don't like to call it Christian hip hop, as well as some of them don't like to call it Christian hip hop. I agree with the sentiment that we are believers who do things. So they are believers who rap instead of like real like super Jesus music. Which some of their super Jesus music is cool too. I rock with, and it's all because of my wife. I can't take credit for it. When Christian hip hop started to get good, she was kind of like on the edge of that, because she attended like a mega church down in DC. So it's like, it's a mega church. It's in DC, which is a chocolate city or a black city for my Caucasian brothers and sisters who may not know what that means. She was kind of plugged in. So when Flame and Bizzle or whoever, some of them dudes are still corny to me, but Lecrae and KB, Andy Mineo, those dudes, they're nice. My friend that owns a Battery Plus, stay here, stay there, or becoming I can't follow that, Byron. I tried. Interesting. Gee, we got to talk about this transfer switch stuff. I want desperately to understand it. Because if I could spend a few $100s to get a transfer switch, I would definitely put my fridge on it more often than not. Because my fridge is the thing that uses the most power. And if I could have that power coming straight out of that outlet, instead of trying to pull it from the wall, plug it into a power station and all that jazz, if I could just kind of switch it back and forth, that would be so dope. So dope. FBCG. Why does that make that feels familiar, Miss Jenny? I don't know what that stands for though. I'm not super familiar with the churches down there. She used to go to Greater Mount Calvary. Samsung 65-inch QLED 2020. Yeah, it runs about 190. Yeah, that sounds like a nice TV. That sounds like a nice TV. You should still have a power save mode on there. You should look into your settings. That's a lot of power. My TCL, it ain't no QLED. I don't think it's none of the LEDs. I think I shouldn't say that, but it's not QLED. That Samsung QLED stuff is kind of dope. It's a 50-inch TCL Series 3. I actually have a video about it. I'm gonna share that. I have a video about buying. It was a whole debacle for my blog, my family vlog channel. Just talking about that TV we have. It typically uses about maybe about 80 watts on normal, and then there's a power save mode on it that drops it down to like 40 or 35. I think I could even get it lower than that if I put it on the darkest setting. All right. TCL. Here we go.
Dang, I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was fun times. I'm sure some people have said hello, by the way.
Oh, hey guys. Hello.
Copy at day one. Okay, Byron. No. It was like a weird convergence of things. Like I have a TCL TV and I was like, oh, I have a video about acquiring that TCL TV. And if you wanted to take a look at that, you could. That's it. It's one of the mega churches out here. Yeah, that's why that name sounds familiar. First Baptist of Glen, whatever, Glenarden. I don't know if we visited that church. Have you visited that church when we were down there?
Well, I know I have plenty of times.
We know people who have attended that church and stuff like that.
That's her church. Is that where they go?
I don't know. She was just mentioning a mega church in DC. I mentioned that you attended a mega church, and that's one of the bigger churches down there.
First Baptist. I like them. They were cool. We actually got together often.
Oh yeah.
Churches. Mm-hmm.
I ain't a mega church dude, so charge them.
It's YouTube.
Mega churches are whack.
What?
I feel how I feel.
I mean, all size churches got.
Hey, later.
Mega churches are not whack.
Mega churches are whack. I said it. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
All right, man. I appreciate you coming through. Okay. So I hate to circle back to this so late, but I was talking about I'm trying to do a video on like power stations, budget, beginner, and like the beastie ones. And I feel like the only two Byron agrees with me and Silver Surfer agrees with me that mega churches are whack. I don't think churches take into account introversion. I mean, we're getting pretty savvy now, but churches are like too social. And then for it to be so big, it's just like it's too much, man. It's too much for me. My wife is an extrovert, so it is not too much for her. But so if I had to go beastie, oh man, I have my moments, Miss Straight Up No Chaser. 2% say hey, baby. She said hi. I wouldn't go with the AC200P. The AC200P is nice, but that 35 volt bottom threshold gets a little weird for me. That means you have to have a 2 panel solution or you need to go 24 volts. So I like the AC200 Max as the one that I would kind of go. And when I say beastie, I mean around like the $2,000 mark. The EcoFlow Delta Pro is it's super beastie, but it's like $3,000. I don't know if I would pick anything other than the Bluetti dip because the Pro from EcoFlow is the only one that has LiPo batteries. So even their Eco Delta Max or whatever their highest one is before you get to the Pro, I don't know that I would do that. So I don't think there's any competition. Kathy Thomas says, I'm an extrovert and they are way too much for me. Transfer switches put loads on a sub panel, refrigerator, bedroom, few room outlets that will not overload your generator, power station. All right, thanks for coming through, Happy Wife. I appreciate it. Same to you. Happy New Year. We don't play them games around here. No shoes flying towards my head. Hey, I've been for a long time. My wife and I have been married for about, let's see, 15, 16 years. So we've been married for a long time, and we have a very we are respectful of each other. We are kind to one another. We try our best to love each other well, but we are honest. That's one thing that we had in common when we met. It was like this whole idea of right is right and wrong is wrong. Like just being very. She go hard in the paint though, but I think the best budget power station is the GoLabs R300. I would say the best beginner power station is probably that Costco deal on the EcoFlow River Pro, or the Pro, the Max, or the EB70. And that one's kind of a toss up because you have longevity versus kind of nice and fly and easy to use. And then for the BC one, I'm gonna have to go with the AC200 Max, even though it has that weird polarity issue that's kind of like very niche, but it's still an issue. That would be my picks, and that's what I'm gonna try and make the video about. What you looking at? I don't know if I can swing the price difference because I'm on a monthly fixed income, but is the EB120 worth the extra money over the EB70? The 529 up to 799 is tough. Would like to know your thoughts. The EB70 has an 800 watt inverter. The EB120 has a 1000 watt inverter for $800. Yeah, that's tough. And I kind of look at things in relation to each other. I think that sticking around the EB70 is probably best, especially because of your income limitations. Yeah, I don't know what the price per watt is there. Yeah, but it's 1200 watt hours though. It's 1200 watt hours. So it's more watt hours for $800. A slightly better inverter. But you could take in more solar. It can take in up to 60 volts. So that's basically 2 panels in series. You can't really do panels in parallel because it has a 10 amp max. So if you put 2 panels, let me take that back. You can do 100 watt panels in parallel. That'll kind of work out a little bit better for you. But my 200 watt panels in parallel is no bueno because they live at about 10 amps. So parallel combines your amps, and if there's a 10 amp limit and those panels are putting out 18 amps on paper, probably not in the real world, then you threw away 8 amps. So I don't know. The Go Zero 1250 I used in the car, no problem. Some power stations get damaged in cold weather. Yeah, I don't plan on ever having my stuff in the cold weather. It's always nice to see a loving husband and wife. You can tell you two are good for each other, like Lev Farmer and Homestead Hart. Okay, I think I follow that. Okay, Homestead Hart and her husband, Lev Farmer and his wife. Yeah, I dig that. I haven't seen much of Homestead Hart's videos, but Led and his wife seem to have a pretty good dynamic. And I think I saw like 1 or 2 videos of Homestead Hearts, and they seem like they have a good. I'm over time again. My bad.
When I appear out of nowhere, casually.
Oh, that's what that slow walk by was. I get it, Jack Mosley.
But that's not to say stop. It's just to let you know, like, you just really are clueless.
Hey, cat eyes. You know what it is? What it is actually I found out that I could pop the chat out. I just found that out. Like I zoom in on the chat and I don't see the time. So whenever I do that, my time is kind of like out of the way. If I could do it like this, then I would see that all the time. Like, oh, it's time. I gotta go.
Why don't you dual screen? Or why don't you just
stop, mama?
Have a clock going on the other screen.
Yeah. Whatever. No. You gonna get that finger plucked. Hey. So let me see if I could live chat. Let's see if I could pop this out. And can I? Yeah, that doesn't work. Let me see.
I feel like just go to the web, get a clock.
First of all, get your arm out of the camera. You know what I mean? You're intruding on. I guess no, that doesn't work. Yeah, this just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
A clock.
A clock?
Yeah, like just Google clock.
How do you copy that? Did you say Google clock?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Oh, it's to have time somewhere. Ah, all right, you fancy. You fancy. I accept that. Yeah, I got you, Linda. What the heck was that? Oh, let's see. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Okay, cool. Oh, all right. Before I go, I do want to let y'all know. Hear me out. I'm starting a Patreon, right? Now, one thing you have to understand about Patreon and how I view Patreon and how most people should is Patreon is really only for people who really genuinely want to support you in the content that you're making. That's really what it's all about. So it's not going to be something that everybody will do. It's not going to be something that most of y'all will do, but there will be some people who will probably be in my whatever, who will say, you know what, I like Ive, I like what he's doing, and I want to support that so he can continue to do what he's doing. So I'm starting a Patreon. I'm having the tiers and all that jazz, tiers like levels. I'm not tiers. And hopefully some of you guys will be down with it. And if you, they say, because I research everything, they were like, if you don't do it, then even if nobody supports it, you're no worse off than where you started. So for those of you who don't know, Patreon is a monthly kind of membership thing where you support your favorite creator on a monthly basis. And then what we try to do is to say thank you, is to give you like some perks and things like that. But you have to know that the idea behind it is the support, not necessarily the perks. A lot of people make the mistake of working for the Patreon people then. So they just kind of make themselves kind of enslaved to fulfilling the Patreon perks. You know what I mean? So it's like nothing crazy, but I think there'll be some cool perks. And when that goes live, I'll make sure to let you guys know and all of that jazz. Like a countdown timer on the cell phone. Winston, man, clutch. Yeah, I could do that for sure. Says 77 minutes here. Yeah, I'm 20 over. We're gonna wrap it up in a second. Hey, Cat Eyes. How are you and your family? Bless you and your family. Love the live. Thank you again for helping us, and thank you for answering questions, especially the single women that's out here. Okay. I feel like, can you give me a few minutes to wrap this up before you bring her energy over here? Tell my mama that. Oh, I didn't follow that at first 2%. Yeah, we not thugs around here. Your mom is a thug. She's throwing shoes. I've never had a shoe thrown in my head. Miss Jenny, I don't think the GoLabs R500 hasn't hit the right price point for me. You could almost get 300s instead of the 500 and work out a little better. All right, I think I've covered everything. Tell me about the coins. Say it, I feel how I feel. Happy New Year, man. I appreciate that, Byron. Yeah, that's it for me. Let me check my notes. That's a wrap. Let me describe one of the levels. So the levels, I have them set right now, is like $5, $10, and $15. Now keep in mind, it's about the support. It's not, you know what I mean? It's like, if you want to do that, you can. And then the one that I think is most interesting is, I think it's one I set up for 25, where I see it as really people who want to kind of like skip the line and get their questions answered. So what I'll do in that situation is, anybody who kind of signs up at that level, they'll be able to reach out to me directly and be able to, which you guys can still do. I'm not stopping you from doing that. What the $25 level does is it puts them at the front of the line. My whole persona and brand is Ask I, because I enjoy helping people. So that's never going to go away. Time is the only barrier to me being able to help as many people as possible, because, you know, I have a job, I have a family, so on and so forth. So what? Oh, okay. So I think that that's pretty cool, because like, I know if I could spend like about a dub for a very serious purchase, and if I was someone who wasn't in the know, if I could do that and have somebody help me and like answer my questions and not have to figure it out on my own, I think that that's worth it. But maybe people will, maybe people won't. All right. Let's see. Okay, Miss Jenny's getting the R300. Hey, use an Amazon affiliate link around here somewhere, Miss Jenny. What's a Buffomatic? All right, guys, I'll hang out. Happy New Year to you guys, and all that jazz. I'll be here in the chat for a little bit, but I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Y'all be beautiful. Thanks for hanging out.